Episode 6, Beyond the Diagnosis. Tonight, we talk about how John always loses bets. We discuss our journey with epilepsy. And most importantly, how do you like your milk? But we want to hear from you, so make sure to send us any topics or questions you would like us to discuss. You can do that by messaging us on Facebook or Instagram, or emailing us at confessionsofuspodcast@gmail.com.
This is John.
This is Lindsay.
And this is Confessions of Us.
Hello.
Hello, everybody out there in podcast land.
Podcast land. With pineapples and pizza.
It's a tropical place. It's good. I like the sound of podcast land.
Yes. Pineapples and pizza.
Pineapples and pizza.
Yes.
Yeah.
And pickles.
Oh, gosh, no. That's disgusting. I have to apologize in advance if there's any scratchiness on my mic.
Oh, yes.
I got a little facial hair going on. So
Little.
It could be a little weird.
It's like on point, babe.
Yeah. I look like Tom Selleck's younger brother.
Yeah, he does.
It's pretty ridiculous.
It's great.
So.
Okay. Do we need to talk about what happened yesterday?
Yeah? Is that what you want to talk about?
It is.
Oh, geez.
Okay. So everybody, we had a friend over the other night, and we were talking about Mother's Day and just how Mother's Day is a couple days. My birthday's on the 8th. Mother's Day is on the 10th. And so...
So you're telling people your birthday, people are going to steal your identity.
Not unless I give them the important stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I guess my birthday is important, but... So I told John Mother's Day was in May last year.
No. That was not the bet.
Oh.
We were debating on... So we went to a marriage conference last year.
Yes.
And so we were debating on when we went. For some reason, I thought it was in August.
I don't know why.
And Lindsay's like,
that.
no, it was in May. Yeah.
Oh, and I knew. Like, I knew I had the picture on my phone, and he just was totally confident it was in August.
Did you look at that picture before you started betting me? I have a feeling you did.
No.
You like to cheat.
No, because I told you it was my birthday. I told you I wanted to do this marriage retreat for my birthday.
It's messed up.
And lo and behold, guys, I won this bet. And I bet him a back massage. Granted, you should already be giving me these without bets.
Please.
But I'm wrong?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, you do win a lot of bets.
Yeah.
I will give you that. I think I'm slick and smooth, but I have to give you, you're a very good bettor.
Guys, I'm not even just a good bet when it comes to like a question. I even win. I often win.
She does
rock,
win.
paper, scissors.
No,
So,
not
yes.
yeah. You
I do.
win some of that, but you don't win nearly as often. So
Maybe not nearly as often as just like an event or something.
Yeah. So I lost the bet. It's pretty common for me. So, but we are super pumped for this episode.
Yes, very excited.
We're going to be talking about something big in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
But before we dive in, moving forward, we're going to be putting out often on social media where we want to hear from you guys. We want to hear the questions you have about the topics we're talking about.
Yeah.
So you can DM on the social medias. You can send it to our email at confessionsofuspodcast@gmail. So we want to hear from you guys.
Yeah.
We would love to do full episodes just with questions we're answering, or if the topics that are coming up, maybe we'll save the random questions for random episodes, doing bonus content. Really trying to develop things because we want to continue to turn this podcast into something that has value for people.
Absolutely.
But we know not everybody wants to hear about every single topic we have to talk about. So, and we talk about, we got a lot going on in our lives. So
we do.
But yes, we want to hear from you guys. So any questions you have,
I like that you said that because the reason we want those questions is because we want to add value.
We want to hear from you guys.
Yeah, we value you guys as listeners. And so we just,
Yeah, this is a two-way conversation. We're inviting you into our journey. So we want to hear from you. So questions, concerns, whatever you may have, just let us know. We'll be willing to talk. We're an open book. We'll talk about anything and everything.
An open book.
So so we put it out on social media. We'll try and obviously do in advance. So we can't wait to hear from you guys. But get ready. This is gonna be an interesting one.
Yes.
So some serious topic. We're gonna talk about the good old epilepsy.
It's good, huh?
It's good. Well, I mean, it is what it is. I don't know if it's good, but okay. So let's start with just kind of a like kind of set the groundwork here.
Okay.
How old were you when you found out you had epilepsy?
I had to be around.
Oh, real fast. Lindsay's the
sorry.
one that has epilepsy.
Oh, yes. Yes. Let's just clarify that. I'm the one that.
As you can probably assume.
I had to have been around 12 because I think we initially found out when I was in 5th or 6th grade, I think. Something like that.
Sure.
So around that age.
Yeah. Early 2000s.
Yes.
Late 1990s. So what tipped it off, like, that you had seizures? Like, what was happening?
Yeah. So my mom is actually a nurse, and there were these constant habits, I guess I was having, where I would stare off for a long period of time. I would be in a conversation, maybe something like this, and we would be talking about something, and I'd immediately forget what I was talking about. And I'd be like, wait, what were we talking about? I would drop things. What else would happen? Oh, well, I will tell. This is a kind of a funny story. My siblings didn't know I had epilepsy. So these were, I think, called petite something, just small seizures. And so they used to make bets at how many plates I would drop in a day because they just thought I was clumsy. And anyway.
Lo and behold,
you
had epilepsy.
Yeah. My mom was like, something's not right. So we're going to get you checked out.
Yeah. Good on mom. Good on mom. So as growing up and, obviously being a preteen, kind of when you're finding out about this, what are some of the things you felt that you missed out on because you had seizures, like growing up?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I mean, when I was younger, I didn't really feel like I missed out on much. Like I took my medicine and I was fine. I didn't.
So the medicine controlled it fairly well.
Yeah, pretty well. When we finally figured out, what I needed, it started working well.
How many kind of meds were you taking at the time? 2?
It depended. Sometimes I was, just taking one.
Okay.
That's probably the most frustrating thing when it comes to, really anything, but epilepsy for me, it is figuring out what medicine works for you, what doesn't, how much you need to take. It's just a lot of busyness in there.
Oh, also, probably should have clarified this. What kind of seizures or epilepsy do you have?
Okay.
Is that a thing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So, again, initially when I started, it was just these very small seizures. Then when I started taking my medicine, they grew into, they were just below grand mal, which means each person's different. But for me, I would just seize and they would last really anywhere from like a minute to almost 5 minutes. And when it lasts longer than I think 2 minutes, you call the ambulance. But
dang. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll go back to your previous question.
Yes.
Because of your meds, it sounds like it was fairly controlled. You felt like you didn't miss out on too much.
Yeah. When I was younger, no, it was really controlled. I don't really feel like I missed out on something that I did a lot of when I was younger was ride horses. And I didn't have any seizures. I was on my medicine. And so I feel like I got some of my prime. Riding horses for me was great. I showed, I jumped, on the horse, not just myself. That's a little joke right there.
You didn't just jump up and down.
Anyways, yeah, I didn't allow certain things to hinder me from jumping into what I really enjoyed.
Okay. So you felt like things were pretty good. How did it affect you then? Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I would say it was a lack of confidence. I was always scared or worried. What if I have a seizure and people see me have a seizure? That's going to be really embarrassing. And that would probably be, when I was younger, the biggest thing for me is, worrying that I'm going to have a seizure.
So you were embarrassed. Sure.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing was embarrassment more than anything because I didn't feel like I was missing out.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah. Embarrassment was a huge.
So did your parents tell you there were things you couldn't do?
No, my parents very much, never communicated that to me. Now there are certain things that you don't do or you try not to do.
Okay. What are those?
Like taking a bath by yourself,
Hmm.
putting yourself in a situation that if you were to have a seizure, for instance, a bathtub, a lake, going swimming by yourself and you have a seizure and you can drown. So like there's certain things are definitely more risky than others, I'd say.
Riding a horse is not, apparently.
Well, no. That's the thing, though. Riding a horse is, and often I would ride by myself. So, I mean.
Yeah, it's the trade-off, right?
Yeah, it.
I mean, obviously, I know you wore a helmet when you rode, that type of thing. You wore some gear. Obviously, falling from a horse generally is bad.
Yeah.
But, I could see the trade-off.
Yeah.
Obviously, like if you're swimming alone and you have a seizure, you're going to die. You're going to drown.
Yeah.
So, what's funny, we heard about some of that on the news that happened to, right? Where this person was alone. I don't know if they were swimming, exactly what they were doing, but then, they had a seizure and died.
Yeah.
So, and it's heartbreaking. So,
yeah.
So what were some of the big moments in your life? So let me ask you, so did you have any life-changing moments as you grew up that the epilepsy changed things? Like that you couldn't do, like going on a trip, or let's say you had a really bad seizure and it altered the way that you had to do things?
Oh, great question, John.
Thanks, babe.
There were actually a few things. I had a seizure right before my family was going on this hike to Havasupai at the Grand Canyon. And we were all looking forward to it. We were really excited. And I had a seizure the day before. And so they decided, let's not, we're just going to kind of make you stay home. This isn't a wise decision to go right after. And so that was something that I had to miss out on.
So you just had to stay home?
Yeah, I stayed home. My mom and dad weren't going. I think my mom wasn't. So me and my mom stayed home. Everyone else went. I remember when I was I think I just graduated high school, and we went on a cruise to Alaska as a family. And we were doing an excursion, and one of those excursions was a zip line. And if you had epilepsy, you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So they were like, but then I got to go off-roading in this sweet excursion. It was so fun.
So you couldn't go zip lining, but you could go off-roading, which is ironic because when we were on our honeymoon, we were going to take, I think it was like a catamaran boat ride around the island we were on.
Like Sunset, right?
Yeah, and they wouldn't let us do it because you had epilepsy.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
And reasons.
But you could go off-roading.
I could go off-roading. I mean, it was like a caged thing.
I mean, I guess if you fell in the water, but you're wearing a life jacket. I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else? Or maybe, continue.
Yeah, honestly, those were like the main things. I don't really feel like there were a lot of like places that said, oh, you can't do this.
Sure.
Things like flashing lights, like dancing, like clubs. Not that I was going.
Not
that I was going to clubs when I was in high school, but there was, for example, there was the movie that just came out, the Star Wars movie.
Oh, sorry, that movie. I don't have epilepsy, and that was bad.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is intense. Rise of
called?
Skywalker? Whatever the last Star Wars movie was.
Yeah. So I can be kind of independent sometimes and be like, in the right circumstances, I'm like, okay, I'm with somebody, so if something happens, right?
Well, I mean, you were in a cushy chair, so there's that.
Oh my gosh. So basically, it was winter, so I had scarves on. And so when the really intense, like...
I remember you just kept covering your eyes. The whole movie was pretty intense.
Yeah. And, I mean, that was the warning. They had to put warnings out. I don't know if you guys remember that said if you have bad migraines or epilepsies, like those were the specific things.
Yeah.
Be wise. I was like,
what's so funny is, so I played video games forever, right? And there was always warnings on the video games. Oh, if you have seizures or epilepsy, don't play this video game. Yeah. And I was just like, ooh, seizures, what's that? Like, obviously I knew what it was, but it's just, just funny. So did you ever have one, so the lake or the Grand Canyon one was a big moment.
Yeah.
Did you ever have one that was really scary?
Well, the thing about it is, I'm out when I'm having a seizure, so like I don't obviously know what's going on until I wake up, right?
Sure.
I think the worst seizure that I can remember waking up from was we were in Wisconsin for a family, like, not retreat, but reunion.
I was about to say, no one retreats to Wisconsin. Just kidding. Just kidding.
All our Wisconsin
Don't you know?
listeners. And we were like working out at a gym somewhere. And I was riding an exercise bike and I fell back and hit my head.
Oh, damn.
And I was out for almost 5 minutes. And
Wow.
I know.
Were you with somebody?
Yeah. we were together as a family.
Oh, your whole family was there.
Well,
working
I know.
out, eh?
It was really just like me and my younger brother and my dad and my sister, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that would probably be, that's pretty scary to fall.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't remember like feeling my head and remembering, oh man, that really hurt. But I was told what happened.
Wow. So it sounds like, it sounds like you were pretty self-sufficient.
Yeah.
For the most part. It didn't seem like anything was too bad. So, it sounds like the meds obviously controlled a lot of it.
Yeah,
right?
For a long time.
Yeah.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, and I would say, at least from obviously talking to you and knowing you over the past 5 or so years, it seems like it wasn't until we had kids where stuff started to get a little more intense.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So in this season of your life right now, so being a mom of young children, what has been the biggest challenges or, inconveniences or whatever?
Yeah. The biggest challenge is not allowing fear to grip me when it comes to the girls and being afraid to hold them, being afraid to, because oftentimes I'm alone with them, whether you're at work or right now you are home because of the COVID. But there's a lot of, that would be my greatest challenge, is to not allow fear to consume that area of my life.
Sure.
Because then there's wisdom, right? I don't give the girls a bath alone.
Yeah.
I don't.
No.
I'm very careful with certain things. But yeah, this is a completely different season of my life than I was when I was single. I just had to worry about myself. I knew the things to do and how to not to push the limits, right? Another thing is, when you have a seizure, you can't drive for 3 months after, because they need to readjust your medicine, make sure you're in a good place. And so that's also very challenging because, one, especially when you have 2 kids, you need to get out of the house. You need to be able to have some sort of freedom, in a sense, I guess. And those are probably my biggest inconveniences or challenges that I kind of have to handle right now. Yeah.
Well, it's also interesting that you seem to have your seizures at night.
Yeah.
The majority of them, at least from what I've known you, I know you've had a couple throughout the day. But yeah, the majority of them have been at night. Yeah. Which is interesting.
Yeah. It's definitely there's triggers, right? So when you have epilepsy, there's certain things that trigger a seizure. It could be flashing lights. It can be lack of sleep. It can be high stress. It can be multiple things for different people, but across the board, there are like a handful of things that they look at that could trigger. And so for me, it is lack of sleep. If I'm not even taking time to just get physical rest or mental rest throughout the day. And so I'll actually recognize that and be like, oh, I actually need to sit down right now. I actually need to take maybe 30 to 45 minutes just to have some mental break.
Yeah. What's interesting, I also realized this as you were talking, we kind of assumed that everybody knew what epilepsy was.
Oh.
We didn't really explain that, but you can always Google it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's basically it's neurological thing in the brain.
Yeah.
That's, your mom always explained this really well to me. She's like, it's like a computer restarting.
I actually said that.
Oh, did you say it to me?
Yeah. I was thinking about it because of how it makes me feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something happens, right? A trigger, whatever, let's say flashing lights, lack of sleep, whatever. Something triggers your brain and it causes you to seize.
Yeah.
Right? and you can Google it, but it's kind of intense. So be careful. Fair warning before you Google it. It's intense because I mean there are some people that obviously they have tons of seizures in a day,
Yeah.
right? Where they're just
Yeah.
seizing all the time,
Mm.
and that's where, you know, given the circumstance, I think that you do live a pretty functional life.
Yeah.
You know, and that's very much God, I think, in that way where, yeah, it's like these people that seize all the like it breaks
Yeah.
my heart,
Yeah.
you
I
know,
mean, even
because they
think of
can't do anything
little
really.
kids.
Yeah, especially little kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's like having the really bad ones is like a major disability.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if
Yeah.
you were in a wheelchair or you had, cerebral
Yeah.
palsy or whatever. So,
Absolutely.
okay, so going through your life, what would you say, like as a believer, as a Christian, what would you say? Do you say, okay, let me rephrase that. As a Christian or believer, do you say that you look at this differently?
Yes.
Like other than just a straight medical condition, if you will?
Absolutely. I don't think I always looked at it differently, but as I've gotten older,
Mm.
my thinking has shifted towards it. And recently on this journey of, thinking about my seizures, going through, having more episodes,
Sure.
attacks than I did in the past, I had to look at it and just think, okay, what's going on? How can I look at this differently? And I truly believe that God is going to heal me completely of my seizures. One, I can tell you right now that fear at the root is the root of epilepsy.
Sure.
Because if you look at what happens with epilepsy and the precautions you have to take and what could happen if you had a seizure,
sure,
is fear. It's fully based in fear. And I definitely believe that the fear that kind of grips me manifests itself in the way of like an attack. Or
do you think fear sometimes can trigger it?
Oh, yeah, but we don't see it that way.
Sure.
We don't, I think when it comes in there, it comes with stress or other things. I just think it's neurological.
Yeah.
It starts in your mind. Like mind flashing light. It kind of looks like how they describe it. Just certain things just light up. Kind of how a doctor will.
Like when they're examining your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically. And I just think there's got to be more than just, it's not just a medication. Here, take this and you're going to be fine. That's not what happens.
Yeah.
All the time, right?
Sure.
So like,
well, there are so many things in life where we do Band-Aid fixes, it seems like, whether it's a condition like this, whether it's depression or anxiety. I mean, you just see it. I mean,
everything.
You just look at it across the world. It's like so many people they're on meds, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing.
Yeah.
But I think that, as a society, we have forgotten how to manage things, manage our stress, manage those things. Because I think that we all experienced a range of emotions, right? No one's immune to that. And it's just interesting, like, why now as a society are we so heavily medicated, just in general?
Good point. Yeah.
And that's another tangent. I won't
Totally.
go down that rabbit hole. But
yeah.
That's interesting. And here's the thing. We are fully aware of how that sounds where, we think there's something more to the epilepsy. But I mean, you can't, especially as a believer, like we know there's more going on to this world than what we see. And I think a lot of people can see that.
Absolutely.
Right? We sense it. There's just so many things that we don't fully have answers for and everything. There's something metaphysical going on. So I wouldn't be surprised, like how, for example, like how do genes mutate to where a family gets alcoholism, like they're susceptible to it, or, cancer runs through the family, or because epilepsy obviously runs through your family.
Oh,
yeah.
That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to say is like, it does run through my family, but this is what I am going to say is that it's more than what meets the eye, right? Like running through my family, it comes out that it is a diagnosis or it runs through your family and it's genetic. I believe that the fear, again, is just, it's a generational thing that was never dealt with.
Interesting.
And so that's, I mean, and to explain, this is a new journey that God is taking me on, becoming aware that, Lindsay, there's more to this than you see.
Yeah. Well, just even with just recently, for the last 2 years. So, and this is the things I think is interesting, is there's obviously things we don't fully understand. And even in the last 2 years, going into being a mom, I know that was a concern of having a seizure while holding, the babes when they were little, those types of things, right? And what started to happen, this is what's crazy. And this is why you can't explain everything, and obviously they know why it's happening, but they can't fix it. They can't whatever. Anyways, so you started having these, like, I think you started calling it an aura.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's almost like an alarm goes off. It's like a precursor to you having a seizure.
Yep.
And they've only gotten more intense, which is interesting, where it's like a warning system. She will, especially this last one, it was probably like 30 to 45 seconds, maybe even a minute, where I could tell that you were going to have a seizure. And like and she's still fully aware, she's still fully functional, but the feeling is starting to overtake her.
Yeah.
And we really do think that this is just walking this journey down the steps of healing, where God is like, okay, I'm doing something. I'm trying to get your attention.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And he gave her a warning signal. It was like one of the things she prayed for, is like, I don't want to obviously hurt my babies. Also, so he gives you this warning system so you can put the kid down, you can lay down, you can do whatever you're doing. And that's huge. That's so massive. Like the last couple ones that I have been around, that this has happened, where I've been able to sit you down, get you prepared, whatever, so you don't hurt yourself. It's just it's crazy.
My aura now is I get really nauseous, like I'm going to throw up or pass out. So that's how my aura is. But it is true. I never had auras, but after I had Siobhan and Annalise. Siobhan, I started getting them, and then with Annalise, they just intensified.
Yeah.
So I honestly feel like I know it's a protection from God that he has given me.
Yeah. I mean, what you call it's like, there's no scientifical, that's right, science cannot explain that, because I know you've asked your neurologist, and he's like, I don't know. He's like, I can't tell you.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy. There's obviously so many things that we don't fully understand about the human body and everything else, so.
Okay, so, but I also want to ask you questions as being someone who walks through this with me.
Being a spouse.
Yeah, being a spouse. I mean, even for people that maybe aren't a spouse, but are a friend, that sort of thing. It's important to talk about this. Was I the first person that you ever saw have a seizure?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So I remember when we first started dating, I was having conversations with your mom about it. And obviously, we'd be spending a lot of time together and whatever. So she's like, she give me the rundown of it, what to do, how long it should last, how to care for you, during them and all these kinds of things. And that's what she said. She's like, I need you to go to YouTube.
She did say that.
And to watch. She's like, because it's very jarring to watch someone have a seizure. And
that's the nurse and my mom. Very good.
Yeah, and it was a great tip, especially like when it's coming. At least gives you a little bit of context. So yeah, you were the first person.
See, that's also very impressive because that shows your love for me.
My love.
And that you would.
Yeah.
You are very caring and compassionate and all of these things. And so
well,
for
you. Hell, if I was going to marry you, I had
that's
to
true.
be fully aware of it. So.
How would you say it initially, seeing me have a seizure? How did that initially affect you?
It's trippy. Like, it is very weird because you seem like you're in pain.
Yeah.
But you're not. For lack of a better explanation, it almost seems like you're possessed. I know it sounds very kind of weird.
Yeah, that sounds very weird.
It sounds very weird. Just because you're convulsing and you're doing all these things that are not you. right? Like obviously,
Yeah.
we're married, I'm with you all the time. So you build a certain image of somebody in your mind.
Mm.
And when you watch them go through something like that,
Yeah.
I'm a little more used to it now, but it's weird because it's not you.
Yeah.
It's not you.
Yeah.
So often, when that happens and I'm around, I'm generally just praying over you.
Mm.
But it was very weird, because like I said, it's just, you're looking at someone you love go through this experience. And this is very strange.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
It's interesting that you say about the possession thing, because as a Christian and as someone, I guarantee you multiple people that do have seizures feel this way, is that there's this like feeling, you question yourself, am I possessed? And,
I'm sure there were stories throughout time where.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting that you say that it does look like that.
Yeah. It's very odd. And I would add to that is it's just nothing fully prepares you for it, right? When you're walking life with somebody and they have some sort of condition, right? There was a time where I thought, can I do this? And then there was like, because it's a very reality, like if we were to get married, obviously something I would have to deal with.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily think anybody ever asked me like straight out about it. It's just something I thought about a lot in the beginning.
What do you mean? Could I deal with this? Like,
yeah, if we're going to continue to date and get married, it's something I'm going to have to be able to handle and compartmentalize. Because when it happens, like if you whack your head or whatever, like you're out of it. Or even just generally when you have a seizure, except this last one, you were good to go pretty quickly.
That's so crazy.
Because generally when you have a seizure, you're out of it for a day or two. I have to take a day off work, those types of things, especially now with the kids. But like if you hit your head or whatever, we have to go get you checked out. And I just have to turn it on. I have to go into husband/dad mode and make sure everything is okay.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, this might be a little gushy, but it's worth it, especially with you.
What is it? Let's hear it.
Well, that's what it is. I'm saying it's like it's worth the deal with all of that.
Oh, gotcha.
To be married to you.
Oh, babe.
Oh, that was good, right?
That's great.
That's good.
I loved it. I think for me, I want to know, are there any fears that get triggered for you? And just knowing that I have seizures, maybe when it comes to the girls, when it comes to driving after I can, when I can, or any, like, what'd you say?
I think I'd be lying if I said there weren't fears. It's one of those things that I know that there's only so much we can do. Because obviously there's everything in life, there's always a choice, right? We have a part to play.
Yeah.
Right? In the grand scheme of things. Big part, small, whatever. And like with you, obviously your role right now is to take your meds.
Yeah.
To take care of yourself, to get sleep. You don't really drink that much. Just all those things to take care of yourself and, because you're a mom, it takes a lot out of you. And yeah, there are definitely fears where, if I hear a weird noise in the house, I'm like, what's happening? Is she having a seizure? But I know that I can't live there.
Yeah. Because
it will drive me crazy. The thing with you, one thing I've always admired with you is you lived life regardless. And, because here's the thing, we're all going to die.
Yeah.
Like walk outside and get hit by a bus, or right now you hit by COVID-19, whatever. So,
yeah.
And I think that with that, I would think if I had a thing like this in my life, it's like a condition. So you have to live life, especially if you're able to. You got to seize it.
Yeah.
Because there are people that have, like I say, a more severe condition. They can't do that. So, yeah, there are fears. But I just have watched God protect you and protect us time and time again where, you were driving and then you weren't and you had a seizure.
Yeah.
Or
absolutely.
I remember when we had some kids, we were doing middle school ministry at the time. We had some kids spend the night in our house. and you took a bunch of them home, and then you came home and you had a seizure.
Well, I was in the shower.
Oh, that's right. When you were in the shower.
And so John was taking care of Siobhan.
I was taking care of Siobhan when she was little, and you fell in the shower. But it's just time and time again where God has protected you.
Yeah.
And there's been some scary moments. Obviously, like you had the one you had a little while ago where you were at the doctor's office and you fell from a standing position. You whacked your head. That was obviously a big deal.
But I was with Siobhan, and I had put her down maybe a minute before.
Oh, when you were at the doctor's office.
Yeah.
I
mean, guys, even just like that, driving to the doctor's appointment, I was with Siobhan. I mean, I couldn't have been in a better place.
Yeah.
The hospital.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing is like the fears are there.
Yeah.
But I also know that like with you driving, with you getting out of the house, obviously after you have a seizure, you can't drive. Yeah. So I'm at work all day, right? And it's just this balance where I know mentally for you still have to do things, so when you can drive, obviously I encourage you to drive, I encourage you to go to the store or whatever, and it's just one of those things. It's the constant evaluation of risk versus reward. And there's just only so much you can do, I don't know how else to explain it. Like you got to live life. There's no point. I'm not going to, and I know both of us, we're not going to allow anything to cripple us and keep us, from living life and living the life that God has placed before us. So
I think that's why I'm so thankful for you is you have the same mindset. You encourage me to live the life that either I dream of or to take risks or, because we both believe that we're going to end, there's a day for us that we will meet Jesus or not.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And that's the thing is like, and I know just mentally for you, those things are so good. So,
I think the same question for you is like, as a Christian, are you able to look at this or think about it in a different way other than just that it is a diagnosis, other than that, here is a fear or, it is about your medication. Do you think you can look at it differently?
I mean, obviously with the journey with you, I've started to look at it differently.
Mm-hmm.
But you think about everything, whether you're looking at it from a biblical perspective or from, perspective of the world. It's like okay, so we've been on just a crazy journey the last couple years with basically going to a new church and being challenged in a lot of traditional things that we have believed over time.
Absolutely.
And I definitely think there's a possibility, now, and that's the thing is like, we are not proponents of, do we believe that God is going to heal Lindsay? Yes. But he's going to do it his time, his whatever, and even if he doesn't, that's okay. Yeah. And we're not going to be like, well, stop taking your meds, blah, blah, there has to be obviously some proof and, whatever. And there has to be wisdom in there. Because even though I think the advances in medication, like are any disease or condition or whatever, like are a gift from God. It's like the fact that we're discovering these things that can balance some of this stuff out, some of the wrongs, I guess, if you will, from cancer to everything else. And we're constantly discovering new things. And I just think that's part of the journey. So yeah, I definitely think that there's a bigger thing going on that we don't fully understand.
Yeah.
So we can't get into it. We can't get to all of it right now. So,
I know it's a lot.
Because it's already going to be a long episode.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think like, yes, do I believe that God can heal me? Absolutely. And one thing that I actually was thinking about the other day is Shadrach, the story in the Bible is Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And they tell the king, we're not going to bow down to your idol. And they say, Jesus, we're not going to bow down. And because the king said, I'm going to throw you into the fire if you don't. And they say, we won't bow down to your idol. And we trust our God. Either he's going to save us from the fiery furnace or he's not. And
yeah, even if he doesn't.
And I just, I feel like I'm starting to look at that way, that like, even if he doesn't, guess what? Like, I'm still going to honor him and worship him and I'm going to get emotional and live my life for him.
Sure.
And even thinking like, well, what if I have another seizure again? And I'm still going to honor him. I'm still going to love him. God has been faithful and protected me and shown himself strong on my behalf. And I think that's just how I'm choosing to look at this epilepsy now is God is still faithful.
Yeah.
In the midst of it all.
Totally.
So.
Yeah. And so with that, we actually got a question.
We did.
From our friend Ruth. And she asked, how have you learned to handle the fear of having another attack?
Such a good question.
Yes, excellent question.
Because this is definitely a present, just a present thing that I'm dealing with. And to answer that question is I have actually started taking communion at night.
Yeah.
Like trying to make it a daily thing where I take it every night just because when it came on my, like, I feel like God showed that to me to start doing that. And it's just a reminder of God's sacrifice, again, of his faithfulness to me, of his protection. And because there is so much fear in having a seizure, it gets my mind in the right place.
Sure.
And so to answer that question, it would be taking communion. And in that moment, I'm also honoring God. I'm also remembering the sacrifice that he made for me, the protection over my life. And that's stuff, that's in this season, that is how I'm learning, I would say, to handle the fear.
Yeah. Well, it's resetting yourself back on Jesus.
Absolutely.
Because as he says, we to not worry about tomorrow. So that's good. All right. So I'm sure we'll be talking many, many more times about epilepsy.
Yeah.
But, we're thinking about, maybe we do, some sort of certain content on it, whatever, we'll dive into it, I'm sure, more in the future. But so let's end this on a lighter note. This is such a ridiculous question. Like, I don't know where you found this question.
I picked a would you rather question.
Oh my gosh.
You can find those anywhere, but that's where I found it.
Here we go. Read this stinking question.
Okay. Would you rather let a crusty old man drink milk out of your belly button every day for a year, or drink milk out of a crusty old man's belly button every day for a month? Okay, and you're a guy, so you have also a different perspective. I could say woman, but you know what? I'm just going to keep the question the way it is.
Gosh. Would I rather for every day for a year?
Oh my gosh. And milk, it's not even water.
Okay,
it's
that's the gross. I don't know. Like, that's a hard one.
You don't know?
I kind of want to say a month.
Yeah.
I would just drink the milk out of the crusty old man's belly for a month. I would just get it over with. I think that's where I would go. Although.
Oh, there's an although.
Well, yeah, because the other one is I guess it's being done to me, if that's any better. Then I happen to perform the drinking of the belly button out of the crusty old man's belly button. I mean, because that's the thing is what if there's, oh my gosh, this is gross. What if there's belly button lint in there?
Ew.
What if he doesn't shower
That's gross. That's gross. He's crusty.
It's crusty.
So he's probably got some crustiness in his belly button.
Maybe I'll do the year then, if he's crusty. Because if he's crusty, meaning he's old, or not just old, but he's dirty and whatever.
Yes. Out of your belly button.
Yeah, maybe I let him do it to me. I don't know. Because that's the thing, though. He just shows up every day with a shot glass of milk and says, "Here we go, buddy.
Let's pour this in there."
Oh gosh. Okay, so would you rather drink milk? Okay, so let's rephrase it for you.
Okay.
Would you rather let a crusty old woman drink milk out of your belly button every day for a year, or drink milk out of a crusty old woman's belly button every day for a month. Yeah. Does that make it
yes.
more relatable? Because the other one's just extra creepy.
Well, you made a really good point. If he's a crusty old man,
or a crusty old woman,
and
we're not sexist here.
Yeah, I mean,
equal opportunity.
I mean, if it's a crusty old man, guarantee you their belly buttons are crusty. So I would definitely say, I don't know if definitely, but in this moment, I would say they're going to drink out of my belly button for a year. I'm not taking that.
You're not taking that risk.
No, thanks. So crusty. I'm thinking boogers. I'm thinking dry skin.
What the crap?
I don't know why, but they're crusty. So
maybe we need to define crusty. Like what the?
Yeah.
Maybe we should define that.
I don't know.
Crusty means, that's gross. Anyways.
But you know what's good though is that it is milk, so it's not like water, and you can see the crustiness.
End the show, Lindsay. We're done.
Okay. This is Lindsay.
This is John.
This is Confessions of Us.
Bye, guys.
Good night. That's good.
So gross.
It is gross.
So nasty. Be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Confessions of Us Podcast. You may also send us any questions you have to confessionsofuspodcast@gmail.com. Check the description box below for all links to social media and places you can subscribe to the podcast.